Hi, I'm Rob and you join me at the Crown in Kingsclere. Now today we're going to have a tale of fictional rabbits, we're going to have a tale of famous racehorse, and most unlikely we're going to have a tale of one of the worst war crimes of World War II on British soil. So our story of the war crime starts on the 5th of October 1944 and the stationing of US GIs at Sydmonton. Now, about 10 of them had decided they wanted to come from Sydmonton, which is a couple of 3 miles down the road, to come in for a drink in one of the many pubs. So they went to one of the pubs and they were confronted by the regimental military police, who turned them around. Words were said. Basically they were sent back to barracks. They walked all the way back. Now resentment grew as they walked back, and they went into the magazine at the military base. They broke into the magazine, snapping the chains, and they armed themselves with M1 carbine rifles, semi-automatic rifles, and they made their way back here to Kingsclere to look for the military police to get recompense. Now they searched all the pubs until eventually they came to the Crown here, which is where the military police were drinking. So lining themselves up behind the gravestones and the trees, they hid in the churchyard in front of the Crown. So after a wait at closing time, Private Anderson and Brown came out of the Crown to be confronted with 10 armed men standing across the road by the churchyard, who then opened fire. Private Anderson was shot straight away and sought to run to save himself, but unfortunately he got as far as a front garden a little further down the road, where he died between a couple of bean poles. Brown was luckier. He managed to get back into the pub and hit the deck. So the whole pub, now alerted, hit the deck. Apart from Private Coates, who was sat in the window there, who got up to hit the deck and get out of the way of the shooting, but was caught in the back. So the firing continued like a Chicago gangster movie, and the landlord covered his wife on the floor to try and protect her. Unfortunately, his wife, Rose Napper, was either caught by shrapnel or caught by a bullet and was killed. So it's a very, very sad ending to that. So the 10 men were rounded up by the police in short order and eventually taken to Thatcham, where they were court-martialed, and eventually all 10 got life imprisonment. The event was hushed up fairly well, although it did appear in some local and national press, and it culminated in a letter from General Eisenhower himself, who apologised, but it remains one of the worst war crimes perpetrated on British soil. So anyway, we'll leave the grisly events at the pub and we'll start our walk by walking up towards the church and walking through the churchyard. And this is St Mary's Church, and we'll follow our way round the side. Follow this grassed path through the graveyard to pick up the footpath, which we take right-handed. So that would have been another option, to go through the churchyard and pick up the path at this point. So apparently this water comes from springs. Well, someone's been feeding the ducks, or not feeding them as the case may be. Because that area over there is known as the Wellhead Springs. Carry on keeping the water to the left. Now springs are a feature of chalk landscapes, amongst others, but chalk as well, because the water is held in aquifers under the ground and just erupts through the fissures, so the water then flows out. Someone on a noisy motor again. Another interesting bracket fungus. Not absolutely sure what that one is though. You wouldn't want to break it off and have it with your chips, that's for sure. So with relief we're getting away from the noisy dog through the gate. I think he needs feeding. And onto the lane with more noisy machinery, we turn left. So while we're strolling down this lane, a little explanation of the ancient English for the name of the village, Kingsclere. It means the King's Clearing. So leave the road bare hill to the left and just keep going forward. So after the road bends round to the right a few times, we come across the footpath that we want on the left. So we, oh look at that, stingers again, my legs, shorts, stinger. Ouch! Dock leaves though. And the big mast over there is the Hannington TV transmitter. So there's a jump there, so this is part of the gallops I assume to Parkhouse Stables, which is owned by Andrew Balding. Claire Balding's brother and Ian Balding's son. Now Ian Balding was instrumental in the training of the famous racehorse Mill Reef. Anyway, we'll see more gallops later. Lovely wildflower. I think it could be mallow. Could be wrong. So we've walked all along the gallop, all the jumps. And we've got to turn into the left. But we go left. So we walked up here, Hannington over there, and when you get to this post, or if they still got that strapping on there, you must turn left. Do not carry straight on up there, because you'll get hopelessly lost, like we did. So follow the arrows and go left. So carry on, and where we're aiming for, if you can hear me over the wind, is turning right through that hedge, following along, and then there's a diagonal path up the hill. And we got a field of corn on the cob, or maize. So you reach the gap in the hedge, and we turn right. So the farm should be behind you, and you should walk down this slope up towards the trees. So don't be distracted by that semi sort of path on the right. There's a stick on the and you follow the beaten track straight up the hill where that chap's running. So if you're still alive at the top of the slope, believe me, I'm the next best thing to dead. Then you go through this kissing gate, no energy to kiss anybody, and keep on going up. Oh Lord. Now there's where we've come from. It's a lovely view, mind you. So our kissing gate. The gallops go all along the top. No wonder those racehorses are so fit and so successful. There's another gate, the far side of the gallops, which is the Wayfarer's Walk. Open the gate and turn right towards Watership Down. So at the top of Watership Down, after a steep climb, that is a hazel tree, and it's a very special hazel tree because it's dedicated to Richard Adams, who of course wrote Watership Down. One of the rabbits was hazel, another one was bigwig, and so on and so on and so on. And this just commemorates the place that he loved, that gave him inspiration to write his books. And of course those books went on to be made into a 1978 animated cartoon, and later a BBC mini-series, and Watership Down has become a famous story all around the world, all because Richard Adams decided to write some stories about rabbits for his daughters based on here. So we've seen the famous tree, Watership Down, and we're turning back to go the way we came along the Wayfarer's Walk. We're not going to go back down the path, down the hill, we're going to carry straight on. Very rare square conifer trees. So we've come out the end of the Wayfarer's Walk, crossed the road by the car park, and we're following the footpath sign to Emsworth, 57.5 miles. We're not going to go that far. But we'll follow this along until we pick up a park pale, which is a ditch and bank arrangement they used to put in the Middle Ages, medieval times, to keep deer in a deer park, basically. What the hell is wrong with people? At the sign of the pants hanging in the tree? Carry on! Every walk I go on, I don't believe it. Got the titters again. Continue along the old Wayfarer's Walk. And there's a post, hopefully. We'll walk along the park pale here. So at this post, yes. Off we go. Seeing slight remnants of the park pale. You're on a bit of a bank and it goes down a ditch a little bit to the field. Not the most obvious one I've seen. So there's the Hannington transmitter right ahead. My gate, a yellow sign, which is pointing us straight on back the way we came, or this way, and we go this way. So you can see where we've walked along the ridgeway there, climbed up that hill originally, and now we're walking back down towards the stud and hopefully back towards Kingsclere for a well-earned drink. So now it's over to your right, the transmitter. Heading down towards the stud down there. So we're heading for this kissing gate in the corner. The transmitter again over there. So from the kissing gate we turn right, and this will take us along the base of the down with the Hannington transmitter on, so it'll be to your right. Up the steps made of roots, through the kissing gate and to the left. Continuing a welcome bit of shade, very hot day today. So it's a nice ridgeway track now. Clip in the woods. Hopefully pretty soon there'll be a track to the left to take us down where we want to go. So at this juncture you've got a path almost doubling back on yourself, but it's going importantly downhill through the bit of woodland. So that is the path we want. The map is very, very confusing, so I'd suggest if you want to do this walk, pay good attention to all the turning points on the video here. Otherwise, if you try and follow the map, and I hate saying this because I'm Ordnance Survey staff, or I was, it's totally useless. Nice view of the gallops down there. Again, that's the boarding training yards. Carry on down the hill through yet another kissing gate. I've got to say, this is very pleasant, walking in the shade of these trees. We hang a left at the bottom and there's some horse jumps there, which is a little bit worrying in case Black Beauty comes stomping along here at great speed. So just after you pass the jump, do not miss the little yellow arrow on the post by the big old beech tree, because this is where you've got to turn right. And then there's a sign here, because you're going through the gallops where they train the racehorses. Please keep to the footpath, near hedge, keep dogs on leads, thank you. And the same again there. And we just keep close to the hedge. What a shame there are no racehorses out galloping now. That would be quite a sight, wouldn't it, as you're walking down here. So as we get to the 5-bar gate here, we carry on, and they've nicely defined this path alongside of the hedge. And as I say, it's a real shame there's no horses on the gallops. They'd look cracking flying along. Carry on the gallops. I'm really annoyed there's no horses. That would be really, really good. As you see, we continue alongside the hedge. Looking left, right and left again for horses. Nothing. Oh, look like they've been here though. There's hoof prints. So as you come out the end of the gallops, here we go. Gate of steps heading straight on. Unfortunately for my legs, we're going up the steps. More steps just when you don't need them. So here we are, out on a random football field. Still keeping to the hedge as we go back into Kingsclere. So coming back down in the village now, it's the play park. And our way back to the pub. So head towards the houses, out the back of the play park. We have the footpath that's going to lead us down towards the village and the church and the pub. So you take the right fork down between the houses, and that brings you out onto a street that will take us back into the village. So as you pop out the bottom of the road here, there's St Mary's Church. So at the end of the road, turn right, and there's the pub over there. The old finger post. So here we are back at the Crown, and that was a fairly hard 6 or 7 miles. We did a little bit more because we went wrong, but we walked proper 6 to 7 miles. Beautiful countryside, beautiful views, nice pub to come back to. Shame it's closed, could do with a coffee. But anyway, if you enjoyed it, then please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.